The world needs more music like Mindless Self Indulgence, I think. Whoosh. Ma. Incredibly gay. We're only 4 songs in, and I have so much to say. Welcome back. I wanted to talk about Mindless Self Indulgence at some point, in some context. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do it. I thought that I would do a review of their album Frankenstein Girls, etc. And then I looked at the track listing and then realized, for the sake of brevity, maybe let's talk about You'll Rebel to Anything, which came out a few years after, because this album is 26 minutes. For the time, that's incredibly short. Even by today's standards, that's still pretty short. In 2005, when this came out, that was obnoxiously short. But it's a very good album. I feel like Mindless Self Indulgence is kind of a cult band, in the sense that, from my perspective, I just assume that most people don't have a clue who Mindless Self Indulgence is. Occasionally I'll bring them up in conversation and I see like a light in someone's eyes when I mention them sometimes. And I'm like, you know them too? And then that opens up a whole avenue of discussion about Mindless Self Indulgence, and they're a fun band to talk about because they're so weird. I mean, these days they're not active anymore, as far as I'm aware, anyway. And so they seem like a band that's lost to time a little bit, but at the same time, if someone was a fan of Mindless Self Indulgence years ago, they probably still are. They just don't really remember that they are still a fan. Maybe you can relate to this. But they're a band. I listen to so many bands that Mindless Self Indulgence often gets kind of forgotten by me. Even though when I discovered them, they were a huge discovery that was really eye-opening and exciting and hilarious, honestly. So when I do remember them, I'm like, oh, yeah, they were a lot of fun, weren't they? And so this is why I wanted to talk about them, because a lot of the albums I've covered on this channel so far are quite big albums, because I'm trying to get this channel off the ground. I also do want to cover more niche, underground, slightly more obscure artists, and I feel like Mindless Self Indulgence fits into that category perfectly well, because I feel at one point in history, everyone knew who they were, and then they suddenly disappeared and no one remembers them anymore. I always loved Mindless Self Indulgence. They were, when I discovered them it would have been around the release of Frankenstein Girls around 2000. It didn't exactly fit into the category of music that I was looking for, but for whatever reason, it just worked for me. They were so out there and so unabashedly not taking themselves seriously and just obnoxious, but lots of fun. And this was at a time where a lot of, it was post-grunge, in the middle of new metal. Sometimes, a lot of times, it seemed like bands were taking themselves very seriously. And Mindless Self Indulgence were never like that, at least around this time. And yeah, so but what I'm saying is I really wanted to talk about them, and it took me a while to narrow down what aspect of them I wanted to talk about. And this album, I think, is it, because I think this is a very nice, short summary of everything they ever did. I feel like later, but before this in their career, they were intentionally bizarre and off the wall, and then after this album, they became a little bit more conventional band, big budget thing. And it was another one of those instances where I discover a band that no one's heard of, and then, as more people find out about them and they become more popular and do big tours and stuff, they kind of lose that magic of this band that I know and no one else has heard of. You know what I mean? But so something that I always did like about them is I always appreciated guitar-based music and loud, obnoxious bleh music and electronic music at the same time. And so, of course, these guys were going to cover both my bases of what I was looking for. it was one of those examples of a band that I feel or felt like at the time, like, this is exactly made for me. This is exactly my kind of music. And I don't listen to them that often anymore, but when I do, I'm instantly reminded of why I fell in love with them in the first place. And deep down, the love for them never really went away. There's so much other stuff to listen to, you know, so I end up forgetting about them. And when I do remember them, I'm like, oh yeah, Mindless Self Indulgence. Like, this band has been in my life for so many years that they'll always be part of my life in some form. And so that's why I wanted to talk about them, because they were really crucial to my formative music discovery years, and also a lot of fun. So the album You'll Rebel to Anything was released on April 12th, 2005. It had 2 singles, being Straight to Video and Shut Me Up. And Shut Me Up, I feel, is probably one of their best known songs. I think that's fair to say. There's not a lot of literature on Wikipedia about the album. The reviews, there's only 5 reviews, mostly, I mean, all very favourable. 4 out of 5, basically across the board. I can see why. There was a Japanese edition bonus tracks and a vinyl reissue with other songs and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to be covering that. I'm just doing the bare bones basics original release, which, like I said, is only 26 minutes long, so this video will probably go on longer than the actual album itself, because I got a lot to say about this album. The personnel on the album in Mindless Self Indulgence is Jimmy Urine on vocals, lyrics, production, arrangement, recording and programming, Steve Rye on guitar and backup vocals, Lindsay on bass guitar, and Jennifer Kitty Dunn on drums. And drums, I feel like, we'll get into it, but I feel like claiming there is just a drummer is kind of rich, because there's not really much need for a drummer on Mindless Self Indulgence music. Like, it's all very programmed drums. So to have an actual drummer, I feel, is just there to make the band seem like more of an actual band, and to have more of a visual thing going on live, which is fine. You know, it's fine. They weren't aiming to be taken too seriously, and that's basically their whole aesthetic. And I've always been completely here for it. So in terms of intro, that's about as much as I can say. Without further ado, let's get into the review. Shut Me Up. As soon as the song starts, that very compressed, very digital sounding guitar melody, there's something about it that, I'm not saying it sounds like it, but it gives me a similar vibe as the guitar in Smells Like Teen Spirit. For some reason. I can't explain why. The drums come in, and it's very obvious that's not an actual drummer. It's very clearly electronic drums. And which, again, if you know anything about me, I don't have a problem with that, provided that the rest of the sounds on the album fit with electronic drums, which this very much does. So within 30 seconds of the album starting, we're into the chorus. There's no messing about on this album whatsoever. Because there's such a time constraint on the overall thing, there's no possibility for just messing around and not getting straight to the point, which I really appreciate in music these days. I think when this album came out, I probably felt it was too short and felt kind of rushed or whatever, but these days I'm very happy with an album that is half an hour. I don't have a problem with that, because that hopefully means that you're just getting to the point and you're cutting out all like interstitial meandering nonsense, which generally bothers me. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that. And this album just gets straight to it. I love it. The music video for this song I've watched so many times. It's endlessly hilarious. The baby flying through the air, the people just being slapped about, it's so good. The video very much demonstrates the not taking ourselves too seriously vibe that Mindless Self Indulgence has always led with. And I love it. I love this music video. It's so stupid. And unironically, I'm saying all this about Mindless Self Indulgence, not taking themselves very seriously, but Jimmy Urine has an exceptionally good voice. It's unlike most singers that I enjoy. I usually find high-pitched singing quite irritating, but there's something about his take on high-pitched singing that just really works. And his pitch control, again, this music is stupid and dumb, fun, whatever, but his vocal control is very technically good. The use of the whoosh sound effect. When you just listen to the song, you're like, okay, there's a whip sound or like a slap sound. And then you see the music video and you're like, I get it now. Yeah, I love Shut Me Up. Could be one of my favorite Mindless Self Indulgence songs. It's a very good song to start the album off with. And if I say during this could be one of my favorite MSI songs, that doesn't mean much because they have so many songs. So many. And there's even just little dumb things they do in other albums and on other songs that I really love. I'm not saying it's faint praise, it's just like, this is, I guess, in my top 25 Mindless Self Indulgence songs. 1989. I'm now realizing I did something stupid. I should have worn this top. I literally have a top that references this song. No other band sounds like Mindless Self Indulgence. There's no other band that I can think of that sounds even remotely close to what Mindless Self Indulgence does. Is it just me? This is so unique. And I know I've probably said that about bands before, but truly I cannot imagine another band even trying to sound like Mindless Self Indulgence, because for the most part it's nonsense, but nonsense in such a beautifully packaged way that no one else could do it. I love the drumming in Mindless Self Indulgence. It's exactly my kind of chaotic electronic drum style. I think an essential, what I was just saying about how unique they sound, that's a big part of why they sound so unique, is because they've got these very, very specific, I don't know if it's a particular drum machine that was used or something, I don't know. These drums and the drums on Frankenstein Girls sound very, very, very similar to me. And so I can only assume it's a particular, at the very least, drum library that gives both of these albums and Mindless Self Indulgence music overall quite a distinct sound. And I feel like, again, it's been a while since I listened to any Mindless Self Indulgence, so forgive me, but I feel like with their later stuff, that sound is kind of lost a little bit, because I guess they wanted to change some drum sounds up, and, you know, fair enough, but this is that drum sound, the tick, 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 I can't quite define what it is. It's almost like trap drums, but like super fast trap drum samples that give them this absolutely manic sound, and I love it. For a band to have the chorus lyrics be, "Back off you little shits, gnawing at my bits, I see they breed you by the boatload. Back off you little whores, get 'em on all fours, and let me beat you till the fucking punch bowl." I take some balls writing stuff like that. It's, you know, I do wonder how MSI anticipated the general public to receive this music that they're writing, you know? Like, what did you think? How did you think people were going to react? One thing I will say about Mindless Self Indulgence and Jimmy Urine's lyric writing is he gets away with a lot of shit. He uses the N word and the F word completely freely and without any repercussions. And I've never understood why. It doesn't bother me. I'm not one to get offended by that kind of thing. I just wonder why in the modern world no one's turned on him or like called him out as being like a sexist or a racist or anything like that. Because I don't think he was. Maybe it's just because anyone with even half a brain can see that he's just being ridiculous and performative. Hopefully that's why. But again, this wasn't the biggest band in the world, so they're not going to get all that much negative attention, I don't think. But it's just an interesting observation that he gets away with saying basically whatever the fuck he wants. Straight to video. Leroy Thornhill from The Prodigy in an interview once said, part of the reason why Liam Howlett's music production in The Prodigy was so good is if you can nail the first few seconds of a song being recognizable, in that you hear the first few seconds, you can already hear the rest of the song, you've nailed songwriting. And Straight to Video is a perfect example of that, because the first 3 seconds I can already hear the entire song of Straight to Video. Straight to Video sounds like the theme music for a drag show. And I guess that fits, because I wouldn't be at all surprised seeing the whole band coming out in drag on stage. That's entirely their kind of vibe. Very, very liberal types. Going back to what I just said about how Jimmy gets away with saying some stuff that a lot of people don't get away with saying in songs. Perhaps that's why. It's because he comes out on stage, this skinny dude with bright pink hair in a like a fishnet tights worn as a top, and just looking incredibly gay, for lack of better description. So everyone's like, yeah, that seems like someone we don't want to antagonize that much. Anthemic as hell, the melodies in the, I guess, post-chorus, bridge, whatever you want to call it. Na 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 na. You can hear that vocal melody in the first 3 seconds. That's what I was just saying. You can already hear it once you know the song, obviously. And just at the point where his voice is starting to break, he's starting to sound like he's starting to sound a little bit manic. Then at 2 minutes, it breaks into this like breakbeat, clattery, kind of Prodigy-ish drum beat. So good. And then like a synth solo, if you want to call it that. Who thinks of this? This is crazy music. Tom Sawyer. Not often do you get in songs where you have a piano melody going, and then the vocalist going, like on top of the piano melody. It's so unnecessary. We can already hear the piano melody. You don't have to toot on top of it. But he did, and I'm fine with it. His screamed vocals around just before 20 seconds. Again, like 20 seconds in, and we're already doing something bonkers. His voice sounds like some little tiny demon parrot thing. It's so weird. He's got such a weird voice. Again, showing a lot of range in what he can do. He can do all this like really high-pitched singing falsetto stuff and scream in his own way. It's not a guttural scream, but it is still a scream, and I love it. At pretty much 1 minute, it starts with this, and I think Mindless Self Indulgence was quite popular in Japan. And at this point in the song, I can totally see why, because this sounds straight out of some anime or something. This is... We're only 4 songs in, and I have so much to say. And... I'm going to say it right now. This album is a fever dream. The whole thing is... It morphs and shifts into one thing, then another thing, then another thing, then another thing. It doesn't really let up. It's not like a hardcore album where it's just frantically chaotic all the time, but there's always some shift and some change happening. You never know what's coming next. Even if you do know the album very well, as I do, it still takes me by surprise to this day. Tom Sawyer is nuts. You'll rebel to anything, as long as it's not challenging. 24 seconds in, and there's more happened already than in most songs that last 3 minutes. 24 seconds. This album is absolute chaos, and I love it. He's already given us his typical high-pitched, "You don't need a uniform," and then going to the within less than half a minute. How is this kind of music allowed? 38 seconds in, it goes into a sound that I can't make. I can't impersonate it for you. But it's no. There's so many notes in his vocal delivery that is baffling to me. It's so... I don't know how he came up with this stuff. I really don't. There's so much crammed into so little space. It's crazy. You're telling me that 50 million screaming fans are never wrong. I'm telling you that 50 million screaming fans are fucking morons. I agree. I've always agreed with that statement. It's like saying, something's hugely popular. That means it must be good, right? No, it doesn't. It just means that people are easily led and easily fooled into liking crap. Perhaps an edgy take. But he said it. I just happen to agree. What do they know? This is the first song really that starts off kind of mellow with piano chords and him being sort of slightly soft in his delivery, but doesn't last long. If you just don't like Mindless Self Indulgence sound while you're watching this video, but if one didn't like Mindless Self Indulgence sound, they must at least be able to acknowledge in the most basic way that structurally this music is genius. Like, the way they make stuff fit together is unreal. There's so much attention to detail that's gone into this, and the melodies and sections of songs just slammed in amongst each other. It's bonkers, man. And another thing that Jimmy Urine can do, not only with his falsetto screaming and his weird demonic screaming voice, he can also rap. Like, for real. He's got such fast delivery in this song, and he does way more than what a lot of other vocalists of the time were even capable of doing. He's very underrated as a vocalist, Jimmy Urine. Yes, he's a clown, but he's also a very good vocalist, undeniably, I think. I love this song, and so far, I love this album. I really do. And I'm looking now at how long I've been recording. I've now been recording for longer than this album lasts. Another song with like pretty melodies and stuff, but also very abrasive drums and bizarre lyrical themes and everything. I've got nothing to say bad about this album so far, really. Stupid motherfucker. Stupid motherfucker, you stupid motherfucker, you stupid motherfucker. There was a period in time, I can't tell you when, but at some point in my life I had "Stupid Motherfucker" as my ringtone. I feel like I'm just going to be repeating myself from now on. But the structuring of these songs is so good, even though the asinine lyrics and just... it could be perceived as quite cringe, but at the same time it's really not taking itself seriously, so it can't be that cringe. But it's so well structured music, despite the fact that it's a clown show for the most part. And "Stupid Motherfucker," it gets so stuck in my head. Like the "stupid motherfucker." I don't know why that's good, but it is, isn't it? Is it just me? Again, he's also the only person that can get away with the R word. A word which I have no problem with these days, but I think people and probably YouTube do, so I'm not going to say it. But I like that word. I think that word is still funny. And if you find it offensive, then you're probably the wrong kind of person to listen to Mindless Self Indulgence. But when he's going, "Should I talk slower like you're R word?" I've felt like that so many times in my life, where I'm talking to someone and they're just not understanding what I'm saying, even though I'm saying it in the most plain English. I'm like, "Should I talk slower like you're..." I was going to say it then. It's weird to find this song relatable, I think. Having said all this, I'm sure all of us can relate to having had encounters with other people where you thought, that guy is such a stupid dumbass. This is the song for you if you felt that way. And I, in a way, find it quite lethargic and relatable, because it means it's not just me who finds other people incredibly stupid sometimes. 2 hookers and an 8 ball.
2 hookers and an 8 ball. Would you believe that I write this shit? 2 hookers and an 8 ball.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, at this point, 17th of February 2025, at this current point, I have just started this channel, so I'm not monetized. I can't be monetized for a long time. But I have a feeling that this video will never be able to be monetized because of this album. This song, I don't want to say it meanders because none of this album really does, but this is the closest we've gotten so far to a song meandering. But at the point of 1 minute 19, when it starts with the that is so good. It's one of my favorite segments of any song on this album. So while the first bit is kind of when it gets to that bit, it makes up for the lack of interestingness of the first half. Yeah, not got a huge amount to say about 2 hookers and an 8 ball. We're at the final 2 songs now, and we've got through this. I mean, I've been talking to you, obviously minus editing, for 40 minutes now. So I'm going to try get through these other 2 songs pretty quick. Prom. The first song, aside from Shut Me Up, that starts up with just a straight up guitar riff. Again, what I said earlier about this sounding like a fever dream, Prom is the peak fever dream. I've had fever dreams that have felt just like this. Jimmy Urine's wolf howl noise that he makes. Is that necessary? Does it do anything for the song? I don't know, but I wouldn't take it away from the song because it's integral to it, even though it's just stupid. There's a sound in the song that I cannot identify, and if you've watched my previous videos, you will know that I really like it when I can't identify how a sound I'm listening to is made. And there is one in Prom that really intrigues my brain. At like about a minute in, there's this, I don't know if it's a guitar effect or a synth or both blended together or something. There's like this wobbly up and down, like octave pitching, fucking just ridiculous melody. It's really good. And like record scratching? I don't know if it is record scratching because there isn't a DJ in this band. So maybe that's a sample or a synth or a guitar effect. I don't know. This album is it's breaking my brain. Breaking this thing down. There's parts in this song that literally sound like a Super Nintendo just dying. And then the last like 20 seconds, 25 seconds of the song go into like something completely different. It almost sounds like an entirely different song. This is exhausting. On to the last song. Bullshit. 42 seconds in, once again, there's like 50 things that have happened in this song already. I love their chaotic approach to song structure. Or perhaps lack of structure. It could be perceived as. But I don't see it that way. I see it as really, like, again, this album is super short, so they're trying to cram in as much stuff as they possibly can, and they do, and it's seamless, and I think it works. And Bullshit is the last hurrah of the album, I guess. How he can go from his shouty, raw, like going on about bullshit, and then just go into his falsetto singing, and that be okay, and that be just acceptable as songwriting. I love it. I love it so much. This is why Mindless Self Indulgence was such an important part of my musical exploration back in the day, because I'm like, I didn't realize music could be this chaotic without being, you know, grindcore or something, which by its very nature is chaotic in structure. But this is not, it's not the heaviest music in the world, but if it wasn't as chaotic as it is, I don't think it would be as interesting, honestly. Not to say it would be bad, but it would be much more... I mean, I think if they were aiming for like a commercial success, that would be the smart move, to get rid of the chaos. And I feel like that's what they started to do in their later albums. Maybe I'll review some of them at a later point, but that's how I feel they went. And I feel like a little bit of the magic was lost there. But this chaotic bullshit... it's fantastic. And the final 20 or so seconds where it's just ramping up and up and up and up and up and up and up, and then just ends on a dun. It's like you were going somewhere, you were leading us somewhere, and then that's it. That's the end of the album. Oh, what a wild ride. Yeah, I didn't think this... I didn't know how much I would have to say about this album, honestly, considering how short it is. In my mind, it's kind of samey, but it's really not. There's so much that it's samey in the sense that each song is chaotic as hell and you never know what's coming next. In that sense, it's samey, but it's not repetitive. No song sounds like the other, and they all have distinct hooks and melodies and lyrics. I think this album is amazing. I always preferred Frankenstein Girls, but again, because of the nature of that album being so huge and having 30 songs, or 30 tracks, let's not call them songs necessarily. These are all songs, and the longest one is 3 minutes and 44 seconds. So to cram in a video with this album would be much easier. Frankenstein Girls, maybe I'll get to, but my god, is that going to be a long video if I ever do that. This album's great. I'd forgotten how good this album is. There's no... Again, because it's so short, and incredibly short for 2005 standards, there's nothing I want to skip on this album. Literally zippo. And that means a lot to me in this day and age. How am I going to review this, though? I genuinely think this is borderline flawless. For what there is, and there's not much, but what is there, I wouldn't remove any of it. I don't know if adding more to the album would make it any better, because it's so chaotic. Even 26 minutes, 26 and a half minutes is like, okay, that's enough. This is great, but I don't need any more. I think I can quickly say that I'm going to give Mindless Self Indulgence, You'll Rebel to Anything, a 9.5 out of 10. I love this album, and I'd forgotten just how much I love this album. It's straight to the point, literally, in every song. It doesn't mess about. Nothing overstays its welcome. The album itself doesn't overstay its welcome. Is it to everyone's taste, though? No, definitely not. But it is to my taste. There's elements of it that shouldn't be, but for whatever reason, it is. I loved Mindless Self Indulgence as soon as I discovered them, and I still do to this day. They don't bore me or anything. I don't think, oh, that was a weird choice that I used to like that band. No, not at all. No, this is still great. Because music like this isn't made anymore. You don't get anything like this these days. Mindless Self Indulgence's last album, which was 2010 or 12 or something, I also thought was really good. Maybe I'll review that one too one day. But it's a shame that they're not around anymore. The world needs more music like Mindless Self Indulgence, I think. But yeah, that's I've gone on for way longer than I was anticipating doing, and this video is going to require a lot more editing than I thought it would need. So yeah, I'm going to go now. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Mindless Self Indulgence, if you think they're cringe or lightning in a bottle. Yeah, that's that's all I can say. Please like and subscribe and comment. Like, I want to hear from you. Like, let me know. Like, start typing now what you think about this before the video ends and then goes on to something else. Do it now. But I still haven't thought of how to end videos yet, so I'm just going to say, go away.